You know that moment when you finally hit $20,000 in your savings account and you think you've made it? Like you've crossed some magical finish line and now you can just coast? Well, I hate to break it to you, but that's actually when the real transformation begins. Most people think reaching 20,000 is the destination, but it's actually the launching pad for something much bigger. My name is Kate, and I've spent years helping women navigate their financial journeys, watching them discover that the most dramatic changes happen after they hit this milestone, not before. If you're someone who wants to understand what actually happens when you push beyond that initial savings goal and why the next phase of your financial journey might surprise you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you see your money goals differently. Here's something that might shock you. The difference between having $20,000 and having $40,000 isn't just mathematical. It's not simply double the security or double the peace of mind. Something fundamentally shifts in your brain chemistry and decision-making process that most financial experts never talk about. When you first reach $20,000, you experience what I call the confidence breakthrough. You stop panicking about unexpected expenses and start thinking more strategically about your choices. But when you push past that initial milestone and keep building, you enter what I like to call the opportunity zone. This is where your money starts working so hard for you that it begins generating its own momentum. Imagine you're riding a bicycle up a steep hill. Getting to the top requires all your energy and determination. But once you crest that hill and start rolling down the other side, you barely need to pedal anymore. 20,000 gets you to the top of the hill. Everything after that is the exhilarating ride down. Let me paint you a picture of what this actually looks like in real life. Sarah, one of my clients, reached her $20,000 goal after 18 months of disciplined saving. She felt incredible, rightfully so. But then something interesting happened. Instead of relaxing her savings habits, she decided to keep going with the exact same monthly contributions. What she discovered blew her mind. Her second $20,000 took only 14 months to accumulate, even though she was putting away the same amount each month. Why did this happen? Because her first $20,000 was now earning money while she slept. At an 8% annual return, that initial pile of cash was generating roughly $1,300 per year without any additional effort from her. That's over $100 every single month that she didn't have to earn at her job. Money that showed up simply because her existing money was working on her behalf. This is where compound interest stops being a boring concept you learned in high school and becomes your personal wealth-building machine. Most people understand compound interest intellectually, but they don't grasp the emotional impact of watching your money multiply itself. When Sarah saw her account balance growing faster than her contributions could explain, something clicked in her brain. She wasn't just saving money anymore, she was building an asset that generated its own income. But here's where things get really fascinating, and this is something that surprised even me when I started tracking my clients' progress. The psychological shift that happens between 20,000 and 50,000 is more dramatic than the shift from 0 to 20,000. I know that sounds impossible, but stay with me because the reasons will change how you think about every dollar you save. When you have zero savings, you're in survival mode. Every financial decision is filtered through fear and scarcity. When you reach 20,000, you move into security mode. You stop worrying about basic emergencies and start thinking about growth. But when you push beyond that initial milestone and keep building, you enter what I call abundance mode. This is where your relationship with money transforms completely. In abundance mode, you stop asking whether you can afford something and start asking whether it's worth the opportunity cost. You stop thinking about money as something that disappears when you spend it and start seeing it as a tool that multiplies your options. Most importantly, you start making decisions from a position of strength rather than fear or even just security. This mindset shift affects everything from your career choices to your investment strategy to how you approach major life decisions. Women who reach this level often tell me they feel like they're playing an entirely different game than they were before. Let me share a story that perfectly illustrates what I'm talking about. Jessica had been following my channel for 2 years when she first reached her $20,000 milestone. She was so proud, and rightfully so. But instead of celebrating with a shopping spree like her friends suggested, she kept her foot on the gas pedal. Fast forward 18 months later, and Jessica had accumulated $65,000. But here's the kicker. Jessica didn't just have more money sitting in her account. She had completely rewired her brain to think like an investor rather than just a saver. When her company announced layoffs, instead of panicking like her coworkers, Jessica saw an opportunity. She used her financial cushion to negotiate a voluntary severance package and launched the consulting business she'd been dreaming about for years. That financial foundation gave her the courage to bet on herself in a way that would have been impossible when she was living paycheck to paycheck. This is what I mean when I say everything changes after 20,000. You don't just have more money, you develop what I call investor vision. You start seeing opportunities everywhere that other people completely miss because they're too busy worrying about their next paycheck. Here's something that might blow your mind. Once you hit around $40,000 in savings and investments, your money starts generating what I call meaningful momentum. Let's break down the math because this is where it gets exciting. At an 8% annual return, $40,000 generates approximately $3,200 per year in investment returns. That's over $260 every single month that shows up without you lifting a finger. Now, I know what you're thinking. $260 isn't life-changing money. But here's where most people miss the point entirely. It's not about that specific dollar amount. It's about the psychological shift that happens when you realize your money is working harder than most people work at their part-time jobs. When you see your investment account growing by hundreds of dollars each month through compound returns alone, something fundamental changes in how you view wealth building. You start understanding that building serious wealth isn't about working more hours or finding side hustles that exhaust you. It's about accumulating assets that generate their own income streams. This realization creates what I call the acceleration effect. Women who grasp this concept often experience dramatic improvements in their savings rate because they're no longer just putting money away for emergencies. They're feeding a machine that gets stronger every month. The more they feed it, the faster it grows, which motivates them to feed it even more. Let me tell you about the career transformation that typically happens at this stage. When you have significant savings behind you, you start making career decisions from a position of power rather than desperation. You're no longer afraid to negotiate your salary because you know you can survive if they say no. You're willing to take calculated risk on new opportunities because failure won't destroy you financially. I've watched countless women completely transform their earning potential once they hit this financial sweet spot. They ask for promotions they would have never considered before. They switch to higher-paying companies because they can afford to be patient during job searches. Some even leave traditional employment entirely to start businesses they're passionate about. The ripple effects extend far beyond just your bank account. Your relationships improve because you're not stressed about money anymore. Your health improves because financial stress isn't keeping you awake at night. Your confidence skyrockets because you've proven to yourself that you can achieve ambitious financial goals. But perhaps the most significant change is how you start thinking about your future. Instead of just hoping things will work out, you begin designing the life you actually want. You start asking bigger questions like where you want to live, what kind of work fulfills you, and how you want to spend your time when you're not tied to a traditional job. This is where the real magic happens, and it's something most people never experience because they stop building wealth once they feel secure. So there you have it. $20,000 isn't the finish line you thought it was. It's actually the starting point for the most exciting part of your financial journey. The psychological shifts, the compound interest momentum, the career confidence, the investor mindset. All of these transformations happen after you push beyond that initial milestone, not before. Look, I get it. Saving that first $20,000 feels like climbing Mount Everest. But once you're there, don't plant your flag and call it a day. Keep climbing, because the view from 50,000, from 100,000, and beyond is absolutely breathtaking. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make right now. If this video opened your eyes to what's possible beyond your current savings goal, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're building a community of women who refuse to settle for just getting by financially. We're designing lives of abundance, opportunity, and real choice. And hey, drop a comment below and tell me where you are on your journey. Are you working toward that first 20,000? Or are you ready to push beyond it? I read every single comment, and I love celebrating these milestones with you. Remember, every dollar you save today is a vote for the woman you're becoming tomorrow.